proceed to our next speaker. However, it's a recording that I have and I'll have to share again. And her name is Laurie Herbert. Laurie Herbert's Soul, Love, Legacy. That's what she's about. And let's listen to what Laurie has to tell us today. Thank you so much. All right, Laurie Herbert, you're here with us today, and I just want to tell you how much I really do appreciate you and send forth to you a warm Caribbean greeting for the Unstoppable Show. It's winter time right now, right? So I just want to say thank you for gracing us. And my people, Laurie Herbert here with us. She's such a humble soul, powerful soul. She's on a mission and she's impacting lives. She's impacting lives, leaving powerfully positive marks. And she's here to tell us her story and share with us. But before I delve into that, I just want to give you a little bit about Laurie's, who Laurie is. And then she will then venture in depth in her story, her struggles, her strive, and how she's persevering and pushing on. So Laurie is an empowerment and life transition coach, certified educator, author, entrepreneur, and founder of Soul, Love, Legacy. She is the creator of Turn Loving Yourself into a Habit and Love Purpose. It's all about love, 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 and more love. She wrote Second Chances, How I Turned Hate into Love and Found My Purpose. Everything she does is done in love and believes in honoring all life. She is passionate about leading others to their truth, their purpose, and to fall into love with life. Every aspect of life, that is. Her number one goal in life is to change the world through a movement of love from the soul. When not working, of course, with clients, she are creating programs or writing, she could be found out with her daughter enjoying love with nature, through nature, reading, singing, along with her favorite songs. However, amidst all of that, like everyone else, Laurie has a story. I always say, no, we all have a story. No matter the laugh we're laughing, no matter how we try to say that we're so happy and all of this, there's always a story behind all of that. And Laurie's here to share with us her story. And she's ready and willing to share. Laurie, again, welcome. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. It's a blessing. All right. All right. Before you dive into your story, I just want to touch on the topic of hate and how we as individuals see hate, because hate is a very strong emotion. It's very strong, and at times it's due to the negative experiences that we have of the past, right? And when we grow and develop over time, if we don't heal from that strong emotion of hate, it becomes stronger and it's at its strongest, and it can really maneuver and harm us, be very detrimental to us. All right. And yet you were able to crack the code and be able to overcome your level of frustration, hate, and anger in this world, and turn it into a tendency of love and peace and warmth and genuinely you. You know, you have come up against so much, but yet still you conquered. You conquered. And you're here to share with us all of that. Could you tell me how your journey with this hate and anger and frustration began? How it began? And when you realized that it was hurting you per se, and you needed to change?
Yeah, I grew up basically being told I was stupid and worthless, and I would never do anything right, and I would never go anywhere in my life. And when you're told that when you're so little, that became everything. It became my foundation that I lived on, that I would never amount to anything and I couldn't do things right. And so, you know, as years went on, and what you believe is what you bring forth. And because I believed I was stupid, I just kept bringing forth people into my world that would influence to keep telling me that I was indeed stupid, even though, of course, I wasn't. No. And so the thing with hate, though, is when you leave it, it just starts to fester. It's like a wound deep inside of my soul that was festering, and it came out of everything I did. And what I've really learned in my journey is you cannot give what you do not have. And because all I had was hate. That's all I could give. So yeah, it kind of coated everything, and it's a very heavy weight because
Yes.
it doesn't ever leave you. It is always right there, and you're just dragging it along with you. And it's really, really heavy. So it wasn't until my father passed away suddenly, and a lot, and yeah, it was a lot at the time. It'll be 12 years this January. Yeah, coming up on 12 years ago. But for me, it was about the fact that all I ever wanted in my whole life was to hear him say he loved me. That was it. That's all I wanted. And he died. And so it was this moment of, I'm never going to have what I want. I will never hear him tell me that. And so, yeah, it was not a good thing to be sitting in. And I remember just feeling like this is my life. This is all I'm ever going to have is this hate, and this negativity. And so I was getting ready because he passed away in January, and I was still going to school to be a teacher. And so it was summer. So I basically just fought through that semester, just kind of pushed all of it down because I promised Mom I'd graduate. So I got to the summer and I was going to go home, and I knew I was going to have to deal with it. I was going to have to figure out what the heck I'm going to do. And I remember being just so upset that I went outside. It was storming, huge storm, thunder, lightning. Like I could have got struck by lightning. I think about it now and I'm like, I could have been taken right then. And part of me didn't care. I really didn't. I just went out there. I was so filled with anger at God. I just started blaming him for everything. And I asked him, I'm like, why do you hate me so much? I'm out in my yard in a storm yelling into the sky. People are probably like, what is she doing? Yeah. And as soon as I said it, though, as soon as I'm like, why do you hate me so much? I instantly heard him. His voice told me, he was like, why do you hate you so much?
Wow. Powerful.
And I stopped crying. Like I instantly just went,
and
I remember, I went back in the house dripping wet, and I'm just like, you're right. I do.
Why do you
I hate myself? I had to admit that I did. And that's kind of what started my journey of, I don't want to hate myself.
Yes.
Why, how can I can't blame God for me hating myself. That I took that on somewhere along the line. I took it on. And so that was that moment where I was like, I don't want to hate myself. I want the love that I've been searching for my whole life. And so it really started with journaling, just journaling all my feelings. So therapeutic to get that out of you. It was every day. And people ask me, are like, how much did you cry? I'm like, every night for a year, at least every night for a year, because I was a parent and I was in school and I had a job.
So you have to be juggling.
So I would do what I had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the only time I got was when my daughter was in bed, and I went to my room and I got out my journal, and whatever God was like, this is what we're going to look at today. And I wrote and I wrote and I dug and I listened and I healed. And it was not an easy road. It wasn't. But it's worth it when you get through to the other side.
You learn life's lesson and you realize now how you can connect what you went through and what you're going through and how you learn the lessons. You see, when we talk about hate, as I sat here listening to you, I remember one of my experiences when I was, as a youngster, I have been attacked and pressured, even with the church. A lot of people would say, what you have been through with the church itself, because I put it out there, I believe in Christ, my Lord and Savior. What I've been through, they said, how you still a Christian? Because I remember specifically one time, church just over, and it's like almost every member and the pastor was attacking me in the church. And Laurie, I heard the term that your heart could be locked in. And I said it was nonsense. It's not possible. On that Sunday, I'm telling you, I felt my heart locked against everybody. That's the level they brought me to. And I was leaving that church. I didn't argue. I didn't fuss or fight. But it was an ongoing issue for months. Persons have been saying things and telling lies and accusing me, And that Sunday, funny, that is the Sunday I went last to that particular church. I didn't go back. That Sunday when I was going to step out of the church, somebody held me and grabbed me. because I was crying. I was in tears. It built up anger, frustration, and I was just tired of it, you know. And my mission down there was to work with the youths, and I was educating them, elevating them, because I too am an educator. I teach secondary education, home economics to be specific. So I'm a teacher by nature, right? And that Sunday, when I was in tears walking out, I dried my tears. I remember drying my tears, and I looked directly in some of the members. It's as if they gathered around me in circle, you know. And I looked directly in their eyes. And some of them, they were taken aback by what they saw in my eyes, because by then my heart had locked, and I said, this is it. So it's as if they sensed the coldness, because I became so cold. I never thought that was possible. And when I was stepping out of that church, somebody grabbed me, and I was about to, you use your hand to remove yourself. And because I was that angry, I wasn't thinking. And on the verge of doing it, I heard somebody said, the voice of the person saying, please, my child, don't do it. Don't leave like that. Please, Mitch, please don't. And it's not because I see the person, it's the voice, because that is a voice that I respect in the church, an elder, a soft-spoken, humble woman, a very good soul. And I was like, how she mean I can't leave? How can I not leave like this? She said, if you step out of this church with that locked heart. Laurie, it's when she said that, she wasn't up there. She didn't know what I was going through. When she said that, I was like, huh? How the hell did you know my heart was so cold right now? I'm very much locked in. And I turned then and I looked at her in her eyes. And she looked at me and said, Mitch, please, I know you love me, you respect me. Go up by the altar and pray. Don't leave with that. Pray. And at first I was rigid, cold, like, no, and I keep telling you, I didn't know people can be that cold. I experienced it. All right? Against the church, that you think that you'll find that warmth. And I went up and I sat on the chair. I did not pray. I sat on the chair and I was rigid and I was lashing out at God. And I'm saying, I'm tired of this. I'm always getting attacked. How can I worship you? Where are you? I was really venting. And while I was there, I was like, why me? Why me? And while I was there, I just get calmed and I sat and I was staring at the cross. And I heard a voice said, why not you? Why not you? You're following Christ. Christ went through all of this. How can you expect to have such a smooth journey? Why not you? And right there, when I heard that voice, I felt somebody came and hugged me from behind. It was the same lady. She hugged me and she was in tears and she said, please, please pray. Just pray. That's where I find my solace. That's where I overcome. I have been through it with them. Pray. And right there, I just start breaking down and I find my old demeanor started relaxing and I cried. Because I've never experienced hate to such a profound level. Never in my life. And I did let it go. I did let it go then. Thanks to that lady. She has passed. Bless her soul. I love her. And I'm telling you, when she hugged me, she was like, release your heart. I'm like, this must be God. Oh, she knew my heart was locked. How? How? So right there, that just weakened me. And I said, I'll never, ever go back to that level. Nobody will ever push me. Because they'll never get my power like that again. Ever. For me to hate to such an extent. Right? And then I was so burdened and depressed and tense, Laurie. You know? I really feel heavy. As you said, it's a burden. And that will now cause me to venture into the second question that I'm about to ask you about self-care and how we can connect love of self-care without being selfish.
Actually, your story fits so well with that because when we don't do self-care, I look at the opposite. When you don't do self-care, you're being selfish because you do not have anything to give anyone else. And you get to that spot where your heart's locked in to that hate, where you don't want to let go and you don't want to surrender. That self-care is so important because we cannot give what we do not have.
Right.
And if we do not love ourselves, we cannot give love to anyone else. If we do not have grace for ourselves, if we don't have patience for ourselves, if we do not honor ourselves, we cannot honor anyone else. We cannot give what we do not have. And so in order for us to have it, we have to give it to ourselves first.
Yes.
And that's where self-care comes in and is so important.
But some people though, Laurie, some people would say that you're always putting yourself first and you don't think about others just because you want time out for yourself to recoup, regenerate. And people will view it as such and pose a problem for you as an individual and try to put the guilt trip on you. Like you should not take care of yourself or take time out or go to the hairdresser and get a treat, And as such, we have to be mindful of that and to know that we can't really rely on people and people pleasing. We have to please ourselves too, because that's how we can get that energy and fulfill our purpose as well in helping them pushing onward. Yes? All right.
Right. And usually those are the people that aren't taking care of themselves.
Yes.
That's why they don't get it.
Yeah, but
sorry, I tell the truth.
It's truth. It's a process, and as we grow older, in wisdom, in age, and everything, we learn. That's how I view it. Understand? That's how I view it. All right. So, Laurie, the subconscious, our mind, and how it works on us, especially when we're trying to stretch ourselves and venture into new horizon. Could you explain to us how our subconscious work and why it works so hard, so very hard against us when we want to challenge yourself and push yourself in acquiring our goals?
What I have really learned as I have been on my journey and dug into my own subconscious is that our subconscious is built. You gotta think about this. It's built from when you're really little.
Yes.
Before you actually have the ability to think logically and to reason. You have already started your subconscious. So if you think about it, your subconscious is based off of all the beliefs that you came up with when you were very little.
Yes.
Because you didn't have, you didn't have that ability to go, why is this happening to me? You would come up with whatever made sense at the time for your little self and go, well, that must be why this is happening. And then it happens again. So you reiterate, okay, well, that's why. Yes. So your subconscious is actually built off of the beliefs you started when you were like 3, 4, 5. Right. So when you think about it, you're like, I didn't have the reasoning. I didn't have that ability to go, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why it's fighting, because it's almost like now you
go on. Go on.
I was gonna say, well, that's why we get caught up in fighting with ourselves, is because we're not looking back to why do I believe that? Because I don't even believe that anymore. Where did that come from? And that's why it's so important to listen to what you're thinking, because your thinking turns into feelings, turns into emotions, turns into beliefs. And then that's what you're doing.
Yes. And as such, the traumas from even our childhood, as remember, is our belief system from when we're little. So anything we experience then, it continues with us throughout life, unless we're able to identify it and heal from it, not give it that power to trigger us, right? So, and that brings us into this one now. Changing our mindsets and what we were taught over the years can be very difficult, especially when it comes to the negativity, as I said, the traumas and what we have experienced. All right. Could you tell us some of the ways in which we can combat that voices in our head and manage our mind? How can we combat it and not let it stop us and hold us back?
By paying attention.
Paying attention.
I call it a loop. Yeah, I call it looping thoughts. You always have those specific thinking that loops in your head. That for me, it was, you're stupid, you're worthless, you're never going to amount to anything.
Yes.
It's not until you start catching them. It's almost like it's running by you. You got to stop it real quick and go, whoa, what are you? What are you doing? Why are you saying that? Is that real? Is this true? Do I really believe it? Because usually if you disprove it, it's almost like you took the key and unlocked it and it falls away. Because like for me, once I ask myself the question, am I unlovable? Is that true? Is there a way to disprove it? And I'm like, well, my mom loves me and my family loves me and my daughter and all of a sudden you're like, well, wait, that's not even real. It's not even true. I'm believing something that's not true. So if you disprove it, is the fastest way to get rid of it, but you can't get rid of it if you're not paying attention. So you have to pay daily, like hourly, minutely, every minute, what's popping through your head.
Right.
Don't let it just run through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. As for me, I would say, well, my combat to the voices in my head is the devil is a liar. You're lying. That's what I used to nip it in the bud initially. And I said, you're not real. And as I said, you compare it with My mom loves me, my daughter loves me, and all. I do that too. And then I force my mind to start doing other things and distract myself. All right. I don't let it grow and breed, so to speak. Right. And up and talking about that now, we're going into what I call the terrible trio: fear, doubt, and confusion. I call them, they're triplets. They work hand in hand. First, fear will hit you, and then doubt comes in, and then confusion all around. So you have to nip that fear, that initial fear in the bud, that initial voice that's saying the thing. How do you handle fear, doubt, and confusion, Laurie?
For me, what really helped me is once I understood fear, that tells me, now I look at it as like, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
I know what you're doing. Fear always steps in only when there's something amazing on the other side.
Thank you.
Now I know every time I get to fear, I'm like, So for fear to me tells me that I'm on to something good.
Yes.
Because fear only shows up when I'm about to step into something amazing. That's how I've learned to look at it. If I'm looking at fear right now, you're trying to keep me from better, and I'm not going to let you stop me. So I now laugh. Basically, when I get nervous and scared about something, I'm like, I'm on to something good.
Yeah. You push
something
yourself.
Good is coming.
Yeah.
Yep. And I just step into it. Because once you realize that that is just a signal, fear is just a signal that you're on the right path. Keep going.
Awesome.
And so instead of going, I go, yeah, something good.
Yes, and we combat it as such indeed, because sometimes we like fear acronym: false evidence appearing real. So it's an illusion. It's not real. Right? And it wants us to forget everything and run. It doesn't want us to step outside of our comfort zone. So it comes again to manage our mind. But there's another acronym that says face everything and rise. Stretch yourself. You know? So that is another thing that we can look into when it comes to fear. Control and manage the mind. Know that it's something that is amazing you're for, and that is why it's kicking in to hold you back. Yes? Just like your method. Awesome. But fear can also stress us out. It can cause us to be so stressed out because we're so
well, when you hit that,
the unknown. Right?
When you hit that what I was going to say, that means you need to surrender. If you're stuck and it's freaking you out, then just let it go and be like, surrender to it and be like, nope, it's all good.
Yeah. So it's like letting go, surrender, letting go, let go, surrender to it. All right. So there's nothing wrong in owning up that yes, I'm fearful, but at the end of the day, you're going to say, I'm going to do it anyway. You can't fear the unknown. How would you know? You know, you can't always sit there. All right. So that's how we can probably quickly get out of that worry zone or depressive zone, you know, by surrendering, as I said. Thank you very much, Laurie. All right. So we have another one now. A lot of people often think that their material accomplishment is living life to the fullest, and I've had it all. You know, this is it. I have my house, I have my car. This is it. All right, I'm having the fast life, and they think that this is all, and they're living life to the fullest, right? Only to find out there's sometimes there's something missing under the surface. There's something missing. What are the factors or some components could you use to state that these persons are, even us, because sometimes we are caught up in the fast lane, you know, we're living life to the fullest, and indeed we're crushing success, we're having success, we're just successful on a whole. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
To me though, if you can have success and not be living your purpose. If you're not living your purpose, then no matter how much success you have, you're still going to feel like something's missing, because our purpose is a part of who we are. And so if you're living your purpose, you could have none of those things.
Right.
And feel completely complete and be completely whole.
True.
So if you do have everything and you feel like something's missing, then start asking yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my reason? What is my soul
yes
needing to do? Yeah. What's my legacy I'm leaving behind? Am I leaving behind cars and a house? Or am I leaving behind compassion and love? Those are the questions to start asking yourself.
Awesome.
What am I leaving?
Mm-hmm. The mark that we're leaving behind for our kids to follow through and say, yes, my mom or my dad did this, or my uncle or my aunt did that. What are the things that we're really running after? Yeah, so we need to really tap into source and tap into self and know ourselves and our purpose. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, Laurie, could you give us a power phrase or a power word to push us forth into the new year? Give me that bang of a term. What are you going to give us to say, listen, man, take 2021 by like a hurricane. Do not be fearful of the unknown or the uncertainties. Give us something.
Yes. So this has been mine. Actually, this was what I came up with last year, but I like it. It's going to keep going. Is I am a powerful, fearless, authentic creator.
Yes.
That was what I came up with last year. You can come up with your own, because maybe you don't think, maybe you're like, I'm not a creator, I'm a mom. So you could be a powerful, fearless, authentic mother, or, it could be whoever you want. That's the thing. It's your empowerment. What makes you feel powerful? What makes you feel fearless? Those are the words.
Awesome. Powerful, fearless. So you come back to fear. Authentic. Mom, creator, whomever you be. Girl, woman, boy.
Right.
Powerful terms, powerful words. Laurie, thank you so much. But for those who wish to follow you and be a part of your community, where can they find you? How can they find you?
Soul Love Legacy. Yeah. Soul Love Legacy is everything.
Soul Love
It's my website. It's my Facebook page. Yeah. It's my Instagram. I even started a YouTube channel.
Awesome.
It's all that. Yeah.
You go, girl. I'm loving it. And Soul Love Legacy is really you. That's you, Laurie. Your humble selves. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I really do. And I pray the Midas touch for you for this year. Everything you touch, everything you speak, be successful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Laurie. I'm so
Thank
grateful.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Laurie Herbert herself. Soul Love Legacy. Laurie left us with a few nuggets. Tap into source from morning. Everybody's been saying, connect with source. Know to love yourself. Know when to withdraw. Know time. Know your time. Know your limits. Stop hating yourself. No self-care is selfish. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to take care of yourself, to withdraw. Go get an hairstyle, do some nails, something, chit-chat a bit. There's nothing wrong with you withdrawing and just spend time and love on yourself. Pay attention to looping thoughts, and these are the nuggets we get. What landed for you? What message did you get from Laurie Herbert's video or recording? How can you use this to propel forth for 2021? We need to surrender to our fears. Yes, own it. I am afraid. I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of being belittled and not being accepted. I'm afraid. But guess what? I'm going to stretch myself and do it anyway. Because if being afraid, you're not going to take a stance, you're not going to know the experience. And as such, even though you're afraid, continue. Stretch yourself. Stretch yourself, take the challenge. At least at the end of the day, you'll get some experience under your belt, some knowledge. Awesome. Powerful words from Laurie.